Welcome to another episode of Meet Agile Searchers. And today I have Alexandra and Carolina with me, who have been with the company for a while. So, ladies, would you like to introduce yourselves a little bit?
Okay, perfect.
Perfect.
Hi, Book. How are you? I'm Carolina Mieva. I came from Argentina 3 years ago to Sweden, and I've been working for Agile Search for 2 years now. In September, it's going to be, and so it's really nice to talk to you.
You too. Thank you, Carolina. Alexandra?
Yes. I'm Alexandra, and I'm from Värmland in Sweden. So I didn't move very far, uh, but I've been at Agile Search for about 2.5 years now. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So, I'd like to get some more insight into the experiences you've had with Agile Search, working with the clients and working with tech recruitment and talent acquisition. So maybe we can start with mentioning just what kind of assignments you've had and telling us a little bit more about what you did. So because I know you were at the same client. So yes.
Yep. Well, I've been doing both executive search from the company, and then I've been a consultant at a client. As you said, I was there together with Carolina. But I was actually at two different assignments before. So the first one was basically just helping out with the initial parts of the recruitment, like sourcing and interviewing, and then, just helping them out that way. But the second assignment was to help them from scratch. So we together set up a process and optimized it the best we could. Then I did the sourcing interviews, the first ones, and then I kept in contact with the candidate all the way through. Did like the reference calls at the end as well. So I was part of it a lot.
So basically the full cycle of
Yes.
recruiting.
Yeah.
Yes. And for me was also I did the executive search for within Agile Search, and then I went to the client, and I work in the same team that Alexandra was before. And but that team had like different changes, like organizational changes, so we kind of had to build the process from scratch because it was different people, like different teams. So we did like we built that together with the hiring managers and with different people that they decided to introduce. And then of course we did from sourcing to reference calls, so the full cycle and the pipelining and everything.
Really nice. All right.
For
And then
one sorry, and in my case it was for 1 year. So
I see.
Yeah. I think it was like 15, 16 months for me altogether. Yeah.
Okay. So did you have any challenges you had to overcome working, with setting everything up from scratch, and what kind of roles you worked on?
Setting it up from scratch was not that hard because it's actually easier than coming into an existing process, to be honest. So together we could discuss different options. I gave them a few options and we could settle on something. And I worked on developer roles and some team lead roles. So we had a big variety actually throughout this time. Yeah. And challenges in general was more when we were trying to scale up the recruitment because they had a very big department that they needed to fill. And of course, when there's a lot of different roles and a lot of different people involved, it's going to be harder.
Yeah.
But we actually managed to do it quite well because we had very good communication in general, very transparent. So I had very good help also from the hiring managers.
yes. And for me, it was like I also was involved in recruiting different tech stacks of developers, like mainly in the front end spectrum, and then we also were involved in more management positions. and so agile coaches or managers. So we had like these two, at least these two kind of competencies that we had to fill. And regarding the challenges, I think that we agree with Alexandra that one thing that is important is that we also worked as a team between we weren't alone there. So when I were there I was with Alexandra, so that was really useful also to be able to share knowledge and to discuss, so to be able to iterate our own process. So not only the communication with the client and with the different stakeholders, but within us as a team. So that was very important for to have the whole process was like very coherent, and it has like different views from our side.
Mm.
And we also worked quite closely with the recruiters from this company as well. So we had their support as well. We could share ideas and everything. Yeah.
So, how many people did you manage to hire? If you can.
I have no idea.
Yes.
I didn't keep track.
Okay.
Yes.
So it was obviously a number.
I think that like it's important to in that matter is like we hired the expected people that they wanted, so they were really happy. In that sense, they, at least for us, I think they have like a certain goal, and then they keep increasing because they are scaling. So at that time, at different times, we were able to provide this scaling up, and we were doing that with a good pace. So I think that they were happy with us. So I think that's why we stayed there for a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Okay,
I
so
mean, yeah.
yeah,
No, never mind.
no.
I was just going to say that, of course, there were a few dry months,
Mm-hmm.
but then that always evened out the next month by us hiring double or 3 times as many people. I mean, we all know that summer is usually not the most eventful time,
Yes.
but we still reach the goals.
Mm-hmm.
Usually beyond, actually.
Very nice. All right, so is there anything else that you worked on, or was it just recruitment? Is there any other value, maybe through working on recruitment, you brought to the client?
Well, for the part I was at, which they mentioned themselves as well, was to digitalize the recruitment process more. And especially using tools to make it easier. Because as I mentioned, they hired a lot of people. And that meant we had a lot of people in process at the same time for the same recruiting team.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to keep track of this in a good way and doing everything smoothly, because our goal was to keep a short but thorough process and have as short feedback loops as possible. So by doing it more digitally, we were able to do that.
Very cool. Do you know maybe how long overall the process would take on average? Of course, sometimes it's shorter, longer, but
I think our goal was, from the first interview to the last decision, would be about 2 weeks.
which is amazing because the
Yes.
industry standard is unfortunately almost 40 days.
Yes. Of course, we didn't always manage to do
No.
that for various reasons, but we at least tried to keep something like that to
Yes.
allow them to meet everyone at least within that time.
Yes. When the process, I think that the beginning was slower, of course, but I think that when we had this process going, and it was very easy to be able to meet these times when everyone was involved, had to know what to do. So that was very important to be able to be quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
No, I was just thinking further that we had the final steps before the actual offer and the acceptance of offer. That could sometimes be a few extra days. So I think interview-wise, I think our goal was about 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, the recruiter's part of the responsibility, basically. Yes.
And I was thinking also, in my case, one of the things that I think it was left there is the different teams. At first, they didn't know much about recruitment. They weren't aware about it. Maybe they didn't have to do it before.
Mhm.
And after, I think that they had a pretty good idea, like how is the market in Sweden, how you have to build the process, how you have to give the feedback. And so I think that was very good to empower the teams in
Oh
this
yeah.
knowledge, not only do it ourselves, but share that knowledge with them so they can do it themselves.
Hmm. Very cool. And definitely an added value as
Mm.
well, for sure.
Yep.
Very cool. Okay, so what about the candidates? Did you get any feedback about, the process, and how did it go in general?
I think it went quite well.
Hmm.
From the people we hired, at least that we talked to, they were pleased with the process
Hmm.
because it was short, but it was thorough. And they got to meet the relevant people very early on because we had a setup that was the first interview was a bit longer,
Hmm.
but then they also got to meet a lot of different people.
Very
So
cool.
if they had technical questions, they were going to meet a developer on the
Mm.
second meeting.
Mm.
If they had organizational questions, they were going to meet the hiring manager.
Huh.
Yes.
So I think that gave a lot of value to the candidates as well.
Mm.
Yes. And they were also telling us like how good the feedback were. Like we
Mhm.
were, at least in my side, I was constantly trying to give them feedback, like if we were a little delayed, or trying to keep them like updated so they know that we care and we are giving like a good candidate experience for them also.
Mm.
Mm.
Very cool. All right. Is there anything you'd like to add about, your assignment and anything else you worked on during that time, or?
Well, I would like to add that one of my biggest, like what can I say, like success with
Uh-huh.
this assignment was to have a very good working relationship with the hiring managers and the other people part of the recruitment, because that made everything so much easier. We There were never any hard feelings because we had a transparent communication, and I think, I mean, since we had many different roles and everything, we had like a lot of people involved,
Mhm.
but I always also had direct contact with everyone.
Mm.
So I didn't have to go through the hiring manager or someone else for them to give a message to someone else, but I could do it directly, which of course also shortened other processes.
Yeah.
Because if there was an issue, I could ask them directly, like, hey, can you help me with this?
Yes.
So
And
that's
I
something
think
I really valued from being there.
yes,
Very.
I completely agree with Alex. That was for me that was very like surprising at the moment, like the kind of trust that
Mm.
they gave us, like from day one. I think that they were already like seeing the results of the work, so they gave us like ownership of the task that we were, and they trust us. And they when we advise them in different like matters, they I think they took our word and they consider what we thought. And for me, that was very like encouraging, because it was really good when you give your knowledge and someone takes it into
Yeah.
account. So that was very encouraging to keep on improving, keep on bringing ideas. So it's not that we were just having like to search for people and that is it. No, we were constantly involved in the different process and decision making. So that was really interesting to be a part of.
Yeah,
Very
I
cool.
agree.
Very cool. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.